95.3 WBCK now presents Coach's Corner, live from Lakeview Ford. For over 6 decades, this has been your #1 source for all local sports information. Coach's Corner is proudly presented by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Now, here's your host, Bill Broderick.
Hey, welcome to Coach's Corner. We've been talking high school football with our city coaches for over 60 years. We are coming to you live from Lakeview Ford in downtown Battle Creek on WBCK 95.3 FM. I am Bill Broderick, sports editor and columnist of the Battle Creek Enquirer, and we'll talk to all the city coaches this morning. But first, we'll look at the Coach's Corner scoreboard brought to you by Lakeview Ford. Lakeview Spartans were playing at home and at Spartan Memorial Stadium, and they fell to a big Portage Central team, 56-20. In Penfield's first game on its new turf field, they had a ribbon cutting over there, and everyone was excited for that, but they were soon damped down a little bit. Parma Western beat Penfield 51-7 in that home opener for the Panthers. Also in the city, Battle Creek Central was at CW Post Field. They lost to Portage Northern 40-0. Harbor Creek went on the road, and they remained perfect on the season with a 55-10 win over Jackson Northwest. St. Philip was also on the road. They went down to Colon, and they lost in a shootout 58-48. In other scores in the area, Marshall earned its first win of the year and beat Coldwater 35-6. Climax Scott stays unbeaten and beat Athens 48-0. Bellevue lost to Mendon 44-6. Galesburg Augusta lost to Parchment 36-14. And Gull Lake was shut out by Lumen Christi 28-0. Now with our first coach of the morning, we have Mark Passetti of the St. Phil Fighting Tigers. They found themselves in a shootout down in Colon last night, and a lot of points were scored, and you guys kind of found yourselves on the short end of that, but a good battle all the way through, right?
It was a good game. I mean, our kids played hard, as usual. A lot of things that we worked on through the week, they were able to put on the field, which was good to see. Unfortunately, some of the defensive things we worked on, we just had trouble handling the speed that Colon has, and they've got an exceptional quarterback as far as running the football. We did a real nice job shutting him down, throwing it. But we had trouble keeping him in the pocket, and once he got loose on us, he caused us all kinds of problems.
Yeah, it looked like it was that kind of game where the last team to get the ball was going to possibly win. There wasn't ever really more than a touchdown difference between the two teams. Back and forth all night, and you guys had the game within 2 points with 3 minutes left when you pulled in with a touchdown, make it 50-48. With another scoring pass to Brady Lightfoot from Colt Myers. And then with just a little bit more, too much time left on the clock, I imagine. Is that the idea right there?
Well, actually, we had the ball down 2, and we had a chance to win. And, we had a 4th down pass that ended up being incomplete, and then they scored after that. It is what it was. We had a chance to win. And for us, against a team like Colon, that put us in, it's a good spot to be in. That's what we were hoping for, just to stay in the game, go down there and surprise them, and stay in the game, and our kids did that. They kept us in the game all night long, and, it just didn't work out our way.
Looked like your athletes on the field were getting it done once again, and, your passing game works because you put those athletes in space, and they're able to make something happen.
We spent time this week working with Colt, throwing the football, and it showed. He from last week to this week was night and day difference. We were spending time with him just on stepping into throws instead of just trying to rely on his arm, and it showed really well last night, the work that he put in this week.
Yeah, 19 of 30 throwing for Colt, 292 yards. That's some nice numbers there.
Mm-hmm.
You had your receivers. You kind of shared the wealth there a little bit all the way through. Brady Lightfoot caught 2 passes. Carter Zwick caught 2 passes. Nate Rapelli caught 2 passes. And It was just a matter of trying to stop their running game. Their running quarterback Maverick Downs.
Yeah.
He went off on you guys a little bit. Had 317 yards rushing.
Yeah.
31 carries.
Like I said, we worked. We worked all week trying to let's keep him in the pocket. But again, it's a speed thing, and they're quick. They're quick. It's especially compared to us. They're quick. So give them credit. We tried. We worked hard to try to keep him under control, and we weren't successful.
Well, real quick, let's talk about next week. Who do you guys got?
We have Bellevue next week at Bellevue.
And they suffered their first loss after surprising some people early, and you have to kind of figure out what they have and then go after it again.
I've already seen them play, and they're solid. They're solid. They picked up a few athletes that came back that didn't play last year, and they're a solid football team. We're going to have our hands full.
All right, Coach. Hey, we'll get after it next week again. One of those rivalries, a Bellevue game there. That's something that you guys always kind of look forward to. And we'll talk about possibly a Tiger win there. And we'll talk to our next coach in the morning here on 95.3 WBCK.
Coach's Corner on 95.3 WBCK. Proudly brought to you by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Here's Coach's Corner.
This is Bill Broderick back here on Coach's Corner with our next coach in the morning, Coach Brett Vernon of the Lakeview Spartans. How's it going, Coach?
It's going. It's a rough night last night, but appreciate being back here again.
Yeah, you guys fell behind early to a talented Portage Central team that wanted to run the ball. They run that veer option offense where they want to grind the ball and run the clock a little bit, and they were able to do that early. You guys didn't get to touch the ball too much early as they went down the field 3 straight times, not putting up some first downs and then going in there and score and put you guys in a hole early. And the kind of things that you guys want to do, you weren't able to do or get any momentum early. So how tough was that at that start? Was something that kind of got you off your game?
Yeah, right away. We got the ball right away. Had a penalty off that first play, put us back against the chains, and from then on, there on out, Portage Central just beat us in all facets of the game. Special teams, offense, defense. They were physical. You got to give them all the credit in the world because they came in and did what they needed to do, and they did a great job.
When they score like that and run the clock like they did, and then you guys get the ball and go 3 and out, and then that happens again. We talked a little bit last night about how you guys have a young team, and the pressure kind of builds in that situation for the kids, and they feel like if they don't make something happen right now, we're going to give up the ball again, and we're going to get even further down. How much as a coach do you have to kind of deal with that and try to make sure that they keep their head in the game and not let that happen?
Oh, that's definitely a huge point there. We got tight. We pressed a little bit early on because of the situation. They put up 3 touchdowns before we ended up scoring. We were pressing too much, and we just gotta stay loose, gotta stay focused, and we couldn't quite do that early on. So, and again, Portage Central just, they got a great team. They're physical up front, and, they usually win games when you're the more physical team.
The situation then, you guys try to get some momentum going in your way. You guys finally got on the scoreboard there. The passing game started happening for you a little bit here and there, and it just wasn't consistent enough to make the first downs happen too often. But you did come up with big plays, and whenever you did get a big play, it usually amounted to not necessarily a touchdown on there, but it led to a touchdown. Those big plays are great when they happen, but you don't want to be dependent too much on them. But we'll talk about that a little bit, getting the big plays and then making sure that and making small plays to go along with it.
We got to be able to run the football, and right now we're not able to run the football, and that's the big thing that we have to fix and focus on in the upcoming weeks. We have the big play ability. We've got kids that can make those big plays, but when you don't have any consistency on offense, getting a run game going, it's tough to consistently move that ball offensively. So we got to get that run game going.
The passing game, like you had talked about, Kaharchek to Davis Barr as becoming a little bit of a thing there at Lakeview, and that's something to look forward to. Portage Central coach talked about that last night after the game. That's one thing that they wanted to focus on to try to shut that down a little bit and they did at times, but you guys came up with enough plays to put the scoreboard lighting up on your side a little bit. The fact that you guys are going to have to make that happen a little bit more going forward. Talk about that a little bit and who you got next and what's going to happen here for the Lakeview Spartans going forward.
Yeah, so this week we got obviously St. Joe at home, and I've told you in the weeks past that we got to concentrate on ourselves and making sure that we're getting better every single week. It was a tough week. I told you we got beat in all facets of the game last night. We got to learn from it, and we got to find a way to get ourselves better as we go moving forward, because a lot of things that we do right now we're getting in our own way, and we got to fix that stuff to be successful on Friday night.
It'll be Hall of Fame night for Lakeview next Friday. Some of the alums coming back and checking you guys out. St. Joe, you've seen them on tape already. What kind of things do they do well that you guys have to get up for?
I mean, traditionally, they've always ran the ball really well, and so they're going to be, bringing that in again. They've lost a lot of guys from last year. They lost a lot of seniors from last year. Had a rough first game of the season. Won last night. Had a forfeit game too. So it just like any team, it really, what are we doing out on that field and how are we executing, doing the little things that are needed to be successful on the field. And again, I'm just going to concentrate on what we do and getting ourselves better this week through hopefully a great week of practice.
Yeah, they're the defending champs in the SMAC. They beat Valkyrie Central in the last game of the year last year to clinch that title, and I'm sure they want to defend that a little bit. So coming to your place in the second conference game, they're going to be looking to try to keep the momentum going for them. We'll look forward to the Lakeview Spartans giving St. Joe a tough game next week, and we'll talk about it again next Saturday, Coach. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Bill.
And now we'll come back on 95.3 WBCK with our another Coach of the Morning.
Coach's Corner on WBCK, brought to you by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Now back to the show.
This is Bill Broderick of the Battle Creek Inquirer back here on Coach's Corner on WBCK 95.3. We're back here with our next Coach of the Morning, Coach Robbie Hedden of the Penfield Panthers. Penfield lost to Parma Western 51-7, but that's burying the lead a little bit. Coach, the cool thing about last night is the new field turf, and you guys had a party last night, and it was a good thing to see, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Big shout out to the Penfield community. We really came out and supported. What I really enjoyed to see is, obviously at halftime we were down pretty big, and we came out in the third quarter, and the crowd was still huge. They stayed beginning to end, want to support this team. They want to see a successful program, and I've told everybody, don't judge us off one game. We knew Parma was going to be very good. I challenged our kids at halftime. Hey, let's just respond in the second half, and we did. We played much better. We played more physical. Put ourselves in some bad situations early, but we responded. But just the atmosphere last night was really cool to see. Penfield has a rich tradition of football and success, and obviously the community wants to see us get back there. And I think last night was a step in the right direction.
Yeah, playing on that new carpet had to be exciting for the kids, and that new flashy scoreboard and everything else that goes along with it, and the ribbon cutting that they had, and it was fun to see for the boys. Talk about the expectations for that and the hype all summer long, and for that finally to come to fruition, and did that kind of give you a little goosebumps there when you walk on the field last night?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a thing where it was kind of a vision that everybody had, and to see it all come together was amazing. There was a lot of work to put this together, and shout out to the Board of Education and our superintendent, Mrs. Lemmer, for getting the turf approved, and every little detail that we put into this stadium is kind of going to make it its own. It was just really good to see all of those ideas that everybody had come together, and really just had a chance to shine.
Another idea that you guys have had, or you had. That's kind of coming together, and I've seen the little spots of it at different parts, and it kind of came together last night, is the Hatton Homie.
Oh, yeah, the Hatton Homies.
That's got to be fun, getting the kids out there and getting them ready to get that student section up and rolling, and that's one of the first steps you need for a nice program, and you got to be excited about that part.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just football. The Hatton Homies is every sport. Hey, we go to a soccer game, we go to a volleyball game, a tennis match. It doesn't matter. We say the Hatton Homies are the kids that want to support each other. You only have 4 years to be in high school. Make those the best memories that you can. Go support your kids. Go to the school dances. Go to the band concerts and the cheerleading competitions, and go support your other Penfield students. And that's what the Hatton Homies is all about, is doing that. So, having some support from the superintendent again and the Board of Education on allowing the free admission for our high school building is a huge step in the right direction of doing that, because, hey, kids should just come and support kids. It makes some memories and have some fun. And, it's something that we did at Colin. My AD there, Paige Smolars, came up with the idea. And, I saw the success that it brought there. And, able to bring that to Penfield was really nice and special. And, like I said, it's a step in the right direction, and we're going to get there. I've said, don't judge us off one game. We have a couple games now that we think we can really, really get after, and we felt like we could compete with Parma, and like we said earlier, to shot ourselves in the foot a little too early, but the culture-wise, hey, we're getting there.
Parma is one of the teams that's going to contend for the I-8 title there. They're big, they're experienced, and a lot of seniors coming back. You were able to run the ball a little bit. Caden Guthrie had another nice game.
Yep.
And by the way, he's the Lakeview Ford player of the game from last night, with WBCK having that as their game of the week last night. So congrats to Caden Guthrie for that. A big night running the game for him. You're going to need more of that going forward. So talk about a little bit who you got next week and what we have to look forward to.
Yeah, so we got Jackson Northwest coming into Battle Creek Penfield next week. And, with Caden, Caden's a hard worker. From 2:45 to 6 o'clock Monday through Thursday, that kid is locked into football. He comes in and he really gives us everything he has. And, it's evident on game days. He runs the ball well. He's a leader for us, and he's a staple for our defense. When he's out of the game, because he needs a little bit of a break, going both ways, it's very evident, because he sets the edge for us, plays with an edge. He's a darn good football player.
Jackson Northwest went 5-4 last year.
Yep.
Struggled a little bit this year. Harbor Creek took care of them last night. So
Another
I-8 game next week, and we'll talk about what happens next week with the Penfield Panthers are hosting Jackson Northwest. Thanks a lot, Coach.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Now we'll be back with our next Coach of the Morning after this on WBCK 95.3 FM.
Coach's Corner on 95.3 WBCK. Proudly brought to you by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Here's Coach's Corner.
This is Bill Broderick of the Battle Creek Inquirer, back here on Coach's Corner on WBCK 95.3. We're here with our next Coach of the Morning. We have assistant coach for the Battle Creek Central Bearcats, Jerry Miller, here for sitting in for Coach Granger, who's out this morning. And how's it going, Coach? There you go. You got to come in. You got to come in off the bench, and you got to be ready to play right away. That's what you tell kids, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. We're going to talk about a little bit more about Battle Creek Central's game last night. You ran into a big and bad Portage Northern team and lost 40-0 there. But before we get to that, I want to talk a little bit about something that happened a week and a half ago. Dinner down at Clara's between Battle Creek Central and Harbor Creek, something that former assistant coach Casey Best did at Battle Creek Central last several years, where he's had his kids come in and have dinner with some coaches and learn about eating at a semi-formal restaurant there at Clara's and having a good time there. And you guys took it to the next level and invited Harbor Creek and had both full teams there invited, more than 70 kids there, and all the coaches. And we talked a little bit about that in the Inquirer this week and got a great reaction from the community. And talk about how important that was and what that kind of means for this community.
First of all, I loved it. It was a beautiful thing. Even though we were opponents that week, it gave our kids a chance to sit and talk with guys that they normally might not have a chance to. And we split them up, like, Harper guys not sitting with Harper guys, BC guys not sitting with just BC guys, intermingle, talked, get to know. So it was just awesome. jokes were being said, guys just laughing, even though, in a couple of days later we were going to be going at it. But at that time, it was just young guys having fun and having dinner.
Yeah, and this concept has been great. The Coach Bess has started the last couple of years, and what you guys are continuing with Belcree Central and having the kids go down to Clara's and sit in kind of what might be a future business meeting for these young men in the future, and how they should react at a certain dinner like that, and learning some things and mentoring going on by the coaches that are there with them. And have you seen some things happen in the last several years that you've seen this is kind of working, and it's been a great thing for the community?
It is. It's a great thing, and it's funny how it started. Is Casey just took a guy out to eat afterwards to just talk to him about life and how things were going, and he made the comment, "Man, I've never been here before." And he was like, "What? Like, you've never been to Claire's?" And he was like, "No, this is my first time ever being here." And so he thought, "Man, how many other guys have never been here?" And so with the help of some donors and stuff, and you had to wear a tie. That was a requirement, which, a lot of the guys didn't know how to tie a tie. So just some life lessons. But it's just an awesome thing, man. And we're going to continue doing it.
That's great. That's a great thing, and I'm glad we were able to highlight that in the inquiry this week, and the community really kind of rallied behind that and had a lot of good comments about that. But talking about what happened last night at Cedar Post Field, Portage Northern is a loaded squad. They have a couple of kids that are getting ready to play some college football at the next level in the next couple of years, including a sophomore offensive lineman that's being talked about Michigan State and the likes of Oklahoma. And when you run into a team like that, you have your hands full, and it's going to be a challenge. You guys kind of got behind early and really couldn't recover. How much of a challenge was that Portage Northern team, and how important was it to kind of stay in the game early and not let that game get away?
Well, they were big, they were fast. They have some dudes. We would just shoot ourselves in the foot. We were moving the ball pretty well first half, but then something would happen, a penalty or just a missed assignment, and then those guys would come right back down. But defense would hold them. But, offensively, we're just struggling right now, and you just can't give those guys the ball back and give them repeated chances, and after a while they wore us down.
Yeah, that's what we've seen a little bit in these early weeks with you guys. You were so solid on offense last year, putting up record numbers with the passing game and knocking out first downs, knocking off long drives, and keeping you guys in games that way. And you guys returned nobody on the receiving core, and a lot of the skill positions, even in the backfield, are fresh. You have the 4-year quarterback in Devoyne Newton, but he doesn't have a ton of guys that have been with him in the trenches in the past few years, and that's been a work in progress, hasn't it?
Yes, it has, and the biggest thing is trying to keep him from getting frustrated, and he's doing a great job of trying to lead those guys and bring them up to speed. But he had to replace, like you said, all seniors, and it shows. We're struggling. We're not the same offense, but you still got to get out there and try to make it happen. And I think we're getting better. It's just a breakdown here and there, but we're going to be okay. Frustration
is the key word that you mentioned, and that could go through the whole team if you're not careful. And the coaches, I know that's top of mind for you guys. You talked about it after games right away, after a win or a loss, and make sure you keep your head in the game for next week. But after a couple, 3 losses there, you have to make sure you're keeping the team together. What has that been the talk about amongst the coaching staff, and how important that is?
Well, the thing about it, because these we're dealing with young, emotional young men, and when things aren't going your way, you have a choice. You have 2 choices. You can get bitter or you can get better. And, no one's going to feel sorry for us. So it's kind of like you got to just pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and it's about pride at this point, We have to go out there and get a win against Lakeshore, who's going to be coming in. They need a dub, So we're going to be all right.
Let's talk a little bit about Lakeshore before we leave you, and seen them on tape yet, and what they have as some things that you have to focus on this week?
They're a spread team. They usually like to air it out some, but they'll run it. But solid defensively, just a good program. But shoot, right now we have to pretty much focus more on ourselves. Like, obviously we're going to watch the tape and break down what they do, but we have to get to having better offense, making plays, getting consistency, before you can really worry about your opponent, you got to fix in-house first.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Getting some momentum back on your side of the ball is going to be key for you guys. And getting that done against the Lakeshore team, they're coming to your place right next week.
Yes.
And another home game. You guys have had a couple of those already. And that nice blue artificial turf for yourself this year, just like Penfield debuted theirs last night. The kids want to use that as a home field advantage. I know Battery Central does, and they have that new scoreboard. But to use that home field advantage, you got to win some games there, and step one becomes before step two. So talk about how that could be a home field advantage going forward if you guys can use it right.
Man, exactly. You said it. That's like you would much rather be at home than on the road.
Right.
And the new scoreboard, like the kids are super excited about what we have. It's just about, like you said, putting it together. And, you can't let opponents just come in. You got to have a home stand and just really just bring it all together and give the fans a good product to cheer on. So we're just trying to get it together right now. The Bearcats are going to come back strong.
All right, that's good. We're going to talk about a little bit more about next week when we get there, and I'll talk about how the Bearcats can get after it against Stevensville Lakeshore at home. Hoping a nice crowd comes out, supports the big blue field there for the Bearcats, and they want to come out. If they want to see the football team, they want to come out and see that rap that those elementary students did on the scoreboard I saw last week. That's kind of fun in itself, so they want to see that. That would be cool.
That was cool.
Get the Bearcats going in the right direction next week, and we'll talk about a win against Stevensville Lakeshore. Okay, Coach?
Thank you.
All right, we're going to come back with our next Coach in the Morning on WBCK 95.3 FM.
Coach's Corner on WBCK, brought to you by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Now back to the show.
Hey, we're back here on Coach's Corner, WBCK. This is Bill Broderick of the Valley Creek Inquirer, and we're here with our next Coach of the Morning, Coach Mason Converse of the 3-0 Harper Creek Beavers. Fun time to be a Beaver right now, Coach.
Good morning, Bill. It's a great day to be a Beaver.
You guys had another big win last night, 55-10 over Jackson Northwest. You went on the road and opened the I-8 schedule there and took care of business early and often. You guys were up 35-3 at halftime. How important was it to jump on them early to keep that momentum going?
We talked tremendously important. We talked all week about coming off two big city rivalry wins, not patting ourselves on the back too much. We wanted to start the I-8 1-0 and get off to a good start to remain in the league chase there. And one of the most important things when you're playing a team like Northwest is to make sure we took care of our business, kept our standards high. And again, Northwest they're a team that's trying to build, trying to get better for the future. I do believe they're doing things the right way over there, but we felt that we were the better team and we didn't want to play down to that level. And that's no disrespect to Jackson Northwest. We wanted to play at our level and do what we did out of the gate. And so I'm really proud of my guys having focus to be able to do that, because that's always a little nervous when with young kids or with a high school team. You wonder if they're going to take them too lightly, and we didn't last night. We did exactly what we were supposed to do.
Yeah, that could have been a problem. That had to be make sure that the confidence was used in the right direction. You hadn't lost to Northwest since you both joined the I-8, so there was some confidence there that comes with that. But like you said, you could overlook some people that way, but you didn't do that. You jumped on them early and did it again with that running game. You did it with that offensive line that you are proud of there, and a lot of experience there, and some big boys driving the ball there. And we've seen that in all three games so far of you dominating the line of scrimmage, and doing that again with that unit has got to be the recipe for success going forward, right?
Super, super proud of those guys, of our offensive line and tight ends, and that unit has really gelled together. They've got a brotherhood, and that's exactly what we need. It's a cliche that's the most important unit in football, but it's really true, and you don't go very far without them. And they do continue to be dominant up front. We've got Preston Welsh and Braden Best at the tight ends, and they can get out and catch the ball, but they have really embraced the blocking side of it and just absolutely love blocking with the linemen. And then we've got Zach Kitchen, Ricky Johnson, who are both 3-year starters coming back as juniors now, and if you want to see effort from the sidelines, just watch Zach Kitchen and Ricky Johnson drive their guys downfield 20 yards before the whistle stops them, and you'll see effort out of those guys. And then Demarion Ashley, Caden Decker, and Brendan Van Sickle are having a great start to their season as well too. So couldn't be more proud of those guys, and it makes it possible for guys like Bronson Carpenter had 176 yards again last night. He's got like 530 in 3 games, and so he's having an outstanding season. And again, the type of season that we were hoping he would have last year. Had some injuries, battled hard to get back to be where he is this year, and very proud of him because he's off to a great start.
Yeah, that running game with Bronson Carpenter has been running hot and heavy all season long so far, and that's a great guy to lean on. And you dished in a little passing game last night a little bit also. Jesus Macedo had a scoring pass to that tight end. Braden Best, you tell him to block all day long, but then you give him a little sugar and give him a little touchdown. That's got to make him block even more next time. And getting that offense rolling and getting up 35-3 at halftime and cruising from there. I'm sure you got a lot of guys in the second half in also to kind of build that excitement for the whole team and get ready for the rest of the season. Was that what happened last night?
That is what happened. We were able to get everybody a lot of playing time. So even our sophomores that come up from JV, they all got a quarter and got to play as well. And so everybody left excited last night. And those are the kinds of nights that if you're not a starter on a football team and you don't get in as much as you'd like, those are the kind of nights that you hope for because you get to get in and be part of that game and be part of the experience. And I was really proud of our starters because they were cheering those guys on just like everybody cheers them on. So the last play of the game, Brooklyn Ensley, who's a terrific player for us, doesn't see the field as much right now as a junior and is going to continue to get better and be a great player for us. We called a playoff tackle, didn't expect it to score, but he ran all the way and scored the last play of the game last night. And so again, somebody like that took advantage of his opportunity, and we were not trying to run the score up. I mean, it just broke, and he made a couple guys miss, and good for him. That's how it should be right there, and very proud of him for continuing to battle through and be part of this team.
3-0 overall and 1-0 in the league. The 3 wins matches your win total from last year already, and a young team last year, but that team is another year older, and that's already showing there. At 3-0 overall and 1-0 in the league, now you can start looking ahead. You don't want to look ahead too far, but you can start thinking about things like playoffs and being in the conference race. And coaches don't want to do that, but the kids are thinking about that right now. And those are good goals to have. Talk about those kind of goals and what can happen and the excitement around Harbor Creek Beavers right now.
Well, we're excited to be where we are. I mean, our boys have worked really hard since really the end of last season and put the work in the weight room and put the work in building a brotherhood and caring about each other. And they've worked, I mean, I go back to the last day of summer practice before we had kind of the shutdown for that first week of August, the preseason shutdown week. And they could have just called it in. There could have been 15, 20 kids there, but we didn't. We had like 65 or 70 of our kids there, which is about what you get in the summertime. And they were not calling it in. They were not taking the day off. And I just looked around the room and I said, you know what, we've put the work in and we're ready. And to see all that hard work that they've put in and have it paying off for them, it's very satisfying and very fulfilling. And our coaches too, on the defensive side of things, Derek Stansberry and Pete Converse and Jeremy Johnson, they've got our defense playing at a really high level right now. We didn't play very well on defense last year, and we had to retool some things and get better and look at ourselves in the mirror and say, what do we need to do different? And they've done a great job of getting us to the position we are right now. And then on the offensive side, of course, behind the big offensive line, we've got Matt Bilger as our offensive line coach, and he's got those guys playing at a tremendously high level. And we added Robbie Crockett this year at our running backs. He's got our running backs running hard and physical and tough, and Ken Horton is coaching our receivers, and those guys were huge for us last night too. We ran a couple of jet sweeps, and if those guys aren't out blocking and taking on the challenge of being able to block corners and loving that challenge, we don't score on some of those plays.
Flip it forward a little bit next week. We're going to talk about next week already, and big rivalry game for Harbor Creek. You get Marshall coming to town, and it's the first home game for you also. You haven't had a home game yet. Marshall comes in. Boy, that tradition between those two teams goes back a long way, and that's an exciting game. It'll be game of the week on BCK. It'll be game of the week in the Inquirer. A lot of eyes will be on that game, and that's something to be excited about, right?
That is going to be a terrific game. can throw the records out. And I know, again, that's a cliche, but throw the records out when Marshall and Harper Creek play. Both teams will play at a high level. It's like you said, it goes back to it goes back before me. So, it goes back to a long time ago, and we aren't going to do anything to break that tradition. We want to keep the tradition going, and the rivalry the last few years has come back and really gotten excited again and ignited. And so I know they'll bring a ton of fans over. We'll have a ton of fans, especially for a home opener, and it should just be a great high school environment.
After Marshall struggled early in the season, they got right a little bit last night and got a win, and they bring that passing game that they like to run, and you've seen that last couple of years under Coach Bill Dreyer, and that's something that a little bit of a change from some weeks when you see a lot of running teams during the regular season, but they're going to throw the ball around, throw it in space, throw it out in the flat. That's a lot to prepare for this week. Is that the focus a little bit?
Coach Dreyer does a very nice job over there, and they've got athletes. They like to get their athletes in space, and they've got a quarterback who is very, very good, and he's very talented. So we know the challenge that's ahead of us, and in a rivalry game, again, we're just going to embrace the opportunity to play, and what a fun night it will be playing our rival on the field, just like it's been these other nights, but this one will be extra special because we're at home and we're playing Marshall.
In the last minute here with you, Coach, I asked Coach Jerry Miller about this a little bit, and I want to ask you, talk about your reaction of having dinner with the Battle Creek Central Bearcats on at Clara's a week and a half ago. That was a great experience for the boys.
What a really, I don't want to say life-changing experience, but it was a terrific experience. Casey approached me about it in the winter clinic. So back in January, I said, I didn't even hesitate, 100%. We're all in. I think in today's day and age, kids especially with social media, they can't wait to dog each other, call each other out, try and tear each other down. And we need to do more things where we're building each other up. And at the end of the day, those kids are all going to be working together somewhere down the road, whether it be teaching at Battle Creek Central, teaching at Harper Creek, working together at a business side by side. They're the next leaders of the next generation, and they might be rivals on the field on Friday night, but they're all going to be. We want them to be men of character in the community someday, and to have an opportunity to see each other as human beings, and not just the enemy on the other side of the field. And again, they're not enemies; they're rivals. There's a big difference between that, and that's what we wanted them to see. And what a great night it was.
Yeah, it was a great thing, and we were able to focus on that in the Inquirer last week, and we got a lot of good reaction from that also. Let's talk about next week, Harper Creek Beavers against Marshall Redhawks. It's always a good game every year, and we'll talk a little bit more about that next week.
Sounds great. Thanks.
All right, we'll be back with a short break after this on 95.3 WBCK.
On 95.3 WBCK, proudly brought to you by Lakeview Ford, where community matters. Here's Coach's Corner.
This is Bill Broderick of the Battle Creek Inquirer, back on Coach's Corner on WBCK 95.3 FM. We're going to spin it forward a little bit. We'll talk about next week's games as we kind of look back at last week at the same time. We had a tough night in the city last night for the 5 city schools. Dropped one last night. Harper Creek is still perfect on the season now, and they won again on the road. They're getting ready to play a nice game next week. It'll be the Coach's Corner. It'll be the WBCK game of the week. It'll be also the game that we focus on in the Inquirer. Marshall's coming to Harper Creek. People around here can remember how those games have gone over the past years. If you have been around long enough, you remember when it's number 1 versus number 2 in the state, back when Coach Greenman and Coach Hulko would butt heads, and that was the game that would always be a full house and people ringing the stadium, standing along the fence line and watching those games, and some huge names that have played in that game over the years. And if you want to put your name in that book of that rivalry, this is the game to come up on, and the boys have to be ready to do that. And I think the coaches will be talking to them this week about that. Marshall got a win last night, kind of on the right side of things. They seem to have their offense clicking after some graduation losses last year, as well as some other teams have had. Now they're hitting their stride a little bit more. Harper Creek 3-0, playing their first home game. They've won 3 straight games on the road, so Harper Creek's got to be feeling good about things finally coming home. Harper Creek being 1-0 in the league, they want to get to 2-0 and get things going in the right direction after that. They have some tough games following that, a tough Hastings team and a tough Parma Western after that. So getting this Marshall win is going to be huge for them. Just looking around the city there, Battle Creek Central is going to host Stevensville Lakeshore. Penfield is Lakeview, is going to be hosting St. Joe. Penfield is going to host Jackson Northwest. A lot of home games next week, and St. Phil is going to be going to Bellevue. So a lot of high school football to be watching next week, a lot of high school football to get ready for. You can read it all in the Battle Creek Inquirer as we have our season breakdown and our game day page on Fridays every week, and getting the scouting reports and the pigskin picks from myself and who might win those games. And it'll be a fun week 4 as we look forward to the season continuing. I can't believe it's already 3 weeks in, and we're already in week 4. But it's exciting for some high school football going forward, and we'll do that again next week when you can return to Coach's Corner. This has been Bill Broderick on WBCK 95.3 FM.